So with many of these GTA Online updates, we do have a lot of drip-fed content, specifically some vehicles that have not been released yet. Now if you guys do not want any spoilers of these new vehicles, then I would recommend clicking off this video straight away. However, there is not many vehicles in total, so honestly I don't really think it'll be too spoiling. And by the way, I will just be covering new vehicles and not the new vehicles that were already added. So without any further ado, let's get into this video. So of course, to even access these unreleased vehicles from the DLC, I will be using the mods in story mode, and this will give me the ability to spawn these vehicles in. So first things first, I open up this menu. I can then go into the DLC vehicles and select money front. You'll then see we have 19 vehicles to choose from. Obviously there is some vehicles that already are released. For example, the top one straight away, the GTX. This one is already out in game, so I will be starting on the Suzume. Obviously this one is released on GTA Plus, and apparently this one will be coming out tomorrow, so by the time you guys see this video, it might already be out. But to get a brief look at this one, I think the bodywork looks incredible. It does remind me a little bit of the LM87 in just the way how the bodywork looks. And when just driving this thing around, oh my god, it is so nice. The only real downside that I can see with this car is that it is an electric vehicle. Maybe some of you guys might not like that. I don't mind it. I mean, it gives it that ridiculous acceleration. I also think this handles pretty similar to the Virtue, if anything just a little bit better. The downforce of this car is really nice as well, essentially making it stick to the road. I will also not be customizing all of these vehicles. I have got the spawner settings set so that these vehicles spawn in fully upgraded. I think the only thing that I will change is the color, because I do believe this spawner will keep spawning them in blue. I'm not really sure why this is, but moving over to our second unreleased vehicle, we have this one called the Minimus, and this one again really has some pretty similar features to a vehicle that we already have in GTA Online, and this will be the S95. I think the bodywork, just like the Suzume when I was comparing that one, looks really similar, and of course the upgrades to the vehicle as well make it look really identical. I would definitely get them both confused. And when just driving this one around, you will also see that I put on the speedometer. So this one isn't really the fastest thing ever. However, the traction on this one, it felt really strange. It was sticking to the road a lot of the time, and the best possible way that I could describe this is it felt wobbly but stable. So a really weird one, but still it really did feel good in that respect. I also think it looks pretty clean as well. At this point we would be moving over to the Woodlander and the Evron RS. However, both of these vehicles have fully been released, so I will be skipping over these two and moving straight down to the Tampa GT. If you already have the car wash business and have played some money laundering missions through there, you might have already used the Tampa GT before, because there is a chance you can get this in one of these laundering missions. Hopefully I am showing some gameplay of this right now, because I did remember clipping some. Now I'm not entirely sure if this Tampa GT is out for GTA Plus already. However, for normal players without GTA Plus, I do know that this is not released, but this will be an HSW upgradable Tampa GT, and honestly after testing this one out, I was really shocked. I think it was pretty much expected to not be as controllable with the HSW upgrades, but to me at least, I did not feel like it felt too bad. I mean, it was incredibly fast, and I also noticed that the wheels seemed really high on the vehicle. I don't know if that was really helping anything, for example the traction, but in terms of top speed, this one is looking really nice. However, it is a pretty difficult car to control with HSW. Even then, I still think it looks really nice and clean, and I managed to get a top speed of roughly 160 miles per hour just driving along the roads. Next up, we have the Hardy. Obviously this one is already released, so I don't really want to cover it. However, I will spawn in the second Hardy, and you will actually see this one is a drift tuning Hardy. It also has some really weird customization options, and I do believe this drift tuning is already out for this vehicle, so maybe if you guys wanted to do that, just take your Anis Hardy to the LS car meet and apply it in there. Also remember, the Anis Hardy can have the taxi livery and be used for taxi missions. Definitely worthwhile, but I would not recommend doing the drift upgrade and then starting taxi missions. That would honestly take you so long, unless you guys are really good at drifting. Next up, we have a pretty surprising drip-fed vehicle. This one is called the Walton L35 stock, and as you guys might be able to see there, it also has a drift version. So when I spawn this in, obviously it is already pre-upgraded with absolutely everything, and you will see it does look pretty cool. This reminds me of the Insurgent's body, almost like a smaller Insurgent. In terms of handling, I think this drives so nice. I thought it was going to have that annoying delay or something. However, that is not the case, and I think this is really nice. I believe a lot of people were saying this Walton L35 was spotted in the GTA Tier 6 trailers. So another really interesting thing about this vehicle, I will probably end up getting it. I do think it looks really cool. Of course, at this time, we do not really know when this is released. For all I know, this already could be released by the time you are seeing this. And to quickly touch on the Walton L35 drift version, you will see how wildly different this looks. So I'm guessing it will have access to some different options when you apply the drift tuning. And the standard version, it looks really customizable as well. So really nice to see this. The next vehicle that we also have is a drift tuning one by the looks of it. This is called the Dominator FX. I believe we already have the stock Dominator FX in the game, and you will already see in the gameplay this is just pretty much skidding out wherever I go, pretty much signaling that it has the drift tuning. Honestly, I do think the vehicle looks nice, but other than that, there's not really much else to say. It looks pretty cool and that's it. Another one that looks really nice as well is the next vehicle called the Gauntlet Hellfire. Just like the Dominator FX, I think this one has already been released as the standard vehicle, and this will be the drift tuning option. So really nice to see this. I think this customization looks incredible as well, and I think that you can do most of this stuff on the standard Hellfire. I think I did have one of them a long time ago. Honestly, still a really nice looking car, and even with this drift tuning on the vehicle, it did seem pretty nice. It wasn't going crazy or anything, and I still thought it was pretty controllable. Next up, we also have another drift tuning car. This one is already released in the game as well. It is called the Chavos V6. I remember when this first came out, and I honestly thought it was already drift tunable. However, it looks like Rockstar were waiting, and now they finally look like they are going to release this at some point. I think the Chavos V6 altogether is a really nice car, and I love the back of the car as well. Just this back window. It looks like you can put this cover over the back window, which might make it really nice for some contact missions, preventing you from being shot from behind. And then in terms of drift tuning, I mean, it just feels like any other drift car in my opinion. It's not really a standout one, I would say. It is still relatively controllable, so overall not too bad. Next up, we have a pretty cool vehicle, especially if you guys watch GTA RP. You might have seen this one before. It is the Bobcat variant of the Stockade. So it actually looks like this one will be coming to the game, most likely on the Warstock Cash and Carry website. And I think this also signals that potentially one of these drip fed missions or something might include the Bobcat Stockade. Maybe we have to use it or something. Obviously, in that money laundering mission, we did have to use the standard Stockade, if you guys have played that. So it might relate back to something like this. At this point, we really don't know, but I think this is really cool. Another vehicle that looks to be part of this drip fed is the custom Flatbed. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I genuinely thought this was already out in GTA Online. I feel like I have seen this before, but of course, with it being in the Money Front DLC list of vehicles, it does actually look like this will be a drip fed one. And I don't know about you guys, but I am really hoping that Rockstar allow us to maybe attach vehicles to the back of this. Just imagine how useful this would be, especially in MC cell missions. For example, if you get them 4 motorcycles as a cell mission, just imagine putting all 4 of them on the back of this, maybe getting on one of them, setting a waypoint, and then putting it on the back, or just putting all 4 on the back and getting on them one by one, making the deliveries as you go. Hopefully we get the opportunity to do this, but knowing Rockstar, it will just be a utility vehicle all for sure. I mean, we can't even do this with the new Iron Mule. We can obviously open the back of the Iron Mule and that is it. We cannot fit anything inside. I will definitely be testing this when this vehicle eventually releases. The next unreleased vehicle we have is the LSCM Cheetah Classic. So it looks like Rockstar are leaning more towards these LSCM cars in some sense. Just remember, we already have the Jester RR that got this LSCM upgrade, and with this upgrade it did suffer from not having many upgrades itself. If you guys remember when that first released, we had that annoying livery just stuck on the vehicle and we could not remove it. Luckily we can remove that now in this new update, so when this vehicle comes out you should be able to remove this livery. However, I do think this livery does look pretty nice. I think it definitely suits this Cheetah Classic a lot more, and so far I would probably say this is my favorite looking one from the DLC list. In terms of its top speed, it doesn't look like it is too fast. However, the traction on this one is really nice. Hopefully the price of the Cheetah Classic when it releases, or at least this version of the Cheetah Classic, will not be overly expensive. If the LSCM Jester RR is anything to go off, this Cheetah Classic version will probably have the missile lock-on jammer included, which is always a nice benefit. It saves you guys having to have the agency or a GTA Plus membership to throw that upgrade on. And yeah, the last 2 vehicles will be the Sentinel GTS, which we already have, and the Higgins Heli-Tors helicopter. Both of these things are already released. So yeah, that will be all of the drip fed vehicles, or unreleased vehicles at least. There are some pretty nice options, a lot of drift tunable cars by the looks of it. I think the one that I am most looking forward to might actually be the custom custom flatbed. I just really want to test if we can keep vehicles on the back of it. Even if there is not an option to do that, even just placing vehicles on top, hopefully the vehicles stay on. I think that would completely change a lot of the MC cell missions, at least the ones with vehicles. But yeah, I'm intrigued to hear what you guys think about these vehicles. Which is your favorite in your opinion? And if you guys do have GTA on PC and can access mods on story mode, I would actually suggest trying these vehicles out yourself. You can then get a pretty good idea of what to expect. And if you guys went on to enjoy this video or found it useful in any way, shape or form, leave a like on this video. I always appreciate your support. And if you are new to the channel and like what you see, subscribe and hit that bell icon to never miss a video. I will be covering the whole event week tomorrow, so make sure that you guys look out for that. Hopefully we get at least 1 or 2 of these drip fed vehicles. Stay safe guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.